Hey everyone, welcome to JRPG Gems episode 3, the series where I show you guys some of the JRPG that I am playing that are close to unknown actually, but that I think are still worth playing. Today, we are taking a look at Caligula Effect Overdose for Switch, PS4, and PC. The Caligula Effect is a Accordia developed JRPG. The game was released on PlayStation Vita, published by Atlus in 2017. For this review, I am taking a look at the Overdose version of the game. This version came out on Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, and PC in 2019 in the West, this time published by NIS America. This version contains additional content which I will talk about today. For this review, I played and completed the game on Nintendo Switch, but also experienced both the PC and PS4 version of the game, which I will also talk about. As a massive Atlus fan, the main appeal of Caligula for me was some of the developers working on the project. Tadashi Satomi is the writer for Caligula Effect, and he was also the writer for Revelations Persona, Persona 2 Innocent Sin, and Persona 2 Eternal Punishment before he ended his career at Atlus. Tsukasa Masuko is the composer for this project, and he also worked on a ton of Megami Tensei games as the composer. Some of the highlights for me being SMT 1 and 2, SMT If, the original Devil Summoner, and also its sequel, Soul Hackers. So for all those reasons, Caligula Effect seemed like a game for me. The story in Caligula seems like it's a simple one at first glance, but it's actually way deeper than what its overall generic appearances suggest. You are a high schooler, and you are sent in an alternate world to reality, Mobius. Mobius is a world where people can live their lives in happiness, with complete control over their desires. No pain, no stress, no negativity, and most importantly, with everything you ever hoped for being a reality now. Mobius was created by an idol, Yu. She uses her songs to lead the population to believe that Mobius is 1. The real world, and 2. A great place to live in. Yu is accompanied by a bunch of musicians that help her through her journey of manipulation. Only a small group of students are aware of their true self in Mobius, and they decide to become a team, the Go Home Club. And Yu, as the protagonist, are the leader of this group. The members not only have the ability to be aware that they aren't in the real world, but they are also able to awaken to their inner power. This phenomenon is very similar to a Persona awakening, since it's basically the manifestation of raw emotions into a new form, which is called Catharsis Effect. The musicians are the Go Home Club's target, as they are the ones that will bring them closer to their real goal of meeting Yu, with the club's final goal being to escape Mobius and return to the real world, which explains the name, Go Home Club. Overall, this story has to be one of the strongest aspects of the game, as it is actually a very complex package that tackles important life subjects such as manipulation, mental health issues, and much more. The characters all have intriguing and different personalities. That being said, some of them are really over the top, and I found myself having a hard time taking them seriously at times. Think of some of them as some type of walk-in stereotypes in a way. That being said, there's still some very interesting ones in there, such as the musicians, which I won't really get into since it's basically spoilers territory. Is Caligula Effect Overdose for you? Well, let's get into the specifics of what this game is all about now, and hopefully we'll be able to answer this question. I'll also make sure to describe precisely why this game is my third pick for my JRPG Gem series. You play through the story while exploring various different locations to find and destroy Yu's musicians. All the dungeons have simple designs, but they're different enough to feel different to one another. I would say that they're better than Persona 3's Tartarus, and they're more along the lines of the dungeons that you can find in a game like Persona 4 in terms of designs. You also travel around those dungeons in a similar way as the two games that I just mentioned. You walk around floors until you find your objectives, and you can hit enemies before they hit you to gain an advantage at the beginning of battle. When you are out of dungeons, you get to explore the school and other locations around town. There is various different activities that you can do as well, such as spending times with your friends. Yet again, another reason why a lot of people consider Caligula a Persona clone. When you spend time with other Go Home Club members, you get to deepen your bonds with them, which unfortunately doesn't do much in terms of rewards. Most of those bonds are very entertaining and fun to go through still. They are all very unique and makes you more familiar with the main cast of characters that otherwise may feel a bit unappealing. But honestly, I really enjoyed those links, those social type of interactions. They're interesting, they're very different from one to another, and even if they don't really give you any type of good reward in the game, I still completed them and I still found them entertaining. I think it says a lot about the quality of them. You can also level up your affinity level with characters around town and school. They're basically just walking NPCs that you can talk to if you have the right level. To be perfectly honest, I didn't bother with those. There's a ton of characters that you can talk to, and most of them uses the same boring and repetitive dialogues. They really don't add anything to the experience. It's basically quantity over quality when it comes to those little NPCs that you can talk around town. So my suggestion is you keep rolling with the bonding system with your main characters and avoid the smaller NPCs around town. Now, I definitely have a lot to say in terms of combat in Caligula Effect. A good way for me to describe this combat system in a short sentence would be, just like Xenoblade Chronicles, you either adore it or you hate it. The combat system is extremely unique and I personally found it super addictive. It's basically a real-time combat system where you have a meter on the top right corner of your screen, certain moves are faster than others, and you have to time your attacks perfectly to succeed. Certain moves are faster than others, and you have to time your attacks perfectly to succeed. You get 3 moves max per turn for each one of your characters on field. You control 4 characters at a time, which makes for some very interesting strategies. You can also take advantage of combo moves. For example, I can smack an enemy into the air with my main character and time an aerial attack with my second character. The combo possibilities are endless and overall a ton of fun. The difficulty is also very well balanced in Caligula throughout the whole game. Every character uses different type of moves, and as you level up your characters, you get to increase the power of your skills by leveling them up. Or you can also use your newly acquired skill points to unlock new skills for your characters. That way you get to fully customize all your characters. That's right, those skills points that you gain when you level up, you can use them on all your characters, which means that not only is the main character fully customizable in terms of stat, equipments, and skills, but also all the other Go Home Club members, which is very nice and makes for almost an endless possibility of options when it comes to this progression system. Another element from Caligula Effect that I really enjoyed is the soundtrack. Caligula's soundtrack is extremely well made and fits the atmosphere that the game is trying to convey perfectly. Plus, most of the tracks are good on their own. I found myself listening to the official soundtrack even after I was done with the game.
シャゴ、準備はいいか。
ああ、帰宅部活動開始とするか。
Tsukasa Masako did a fantastic job yet again, which isn't surprising really, as he made some of my favorite soundtracks of all time. To me, this soundtrack is a mix of old SMT and new Persona soundtracks, which definitely is a good thing. Oh, and in terms of audio, most of the game is voiced, but only in Japanese. Still felt the need to mention it right here. At this point in the video, you're probably thinking, wow, that's a lot of praise for a game that was generally poorly received. Well, you're not wrong, and I believe I have my fair share of negativism towards the game too. In terms of design, Caligula Effect doesn't particularly stand out. Most environments look alright, something that you would find in a PS3 game. The menus and UI though, look very good and are easy to navigate in. The character portraits are gorgeous. They look amazing if you ask me. That being said, the in-game 3D models look awful. When you look at them, it's really hard to take them seriously. They really are that bad. It's very sad because I feel like if the developers had more time and or more budget to work on this game, they could have done the portraits justice with the in-game models. Feels like a missed opportunity here for me. Easily the worst thing about Caligula Effect though, in my opinion, is the performance. Listen, I'm not a performance guy. Most of the time I can play games and there's small issues and I don't really care. Let me take Persona 5 Strikers for example. I own a PlayStation 5 and I still beat the game on my Nintendo Switch because I wanted to play it portably. Clearly, I could have played Persona 5 Strikers at full 60 frames per second on my PlayStation 5 and I would have had a better experience, quote unquote, to most people. And I still decided to play it on Switch. I am not a performance guy. But still, I'll be perfectly honest, Caligula Effect has to be the worst performing Switch game that I have ever played. I heard that it's not much better on PC and PS4 unfortunately, and from the small bit that I played, that's pretty much right. Most of the technical issues consist of frame drops and even considerable drops in resolution at times. The game is still playable, hell, I beat the game, but it still shows a very important lack of optimization from the developers. Thankfully, it seems like all those issues were resolved with Caligula Effect 2, which I will talk about near the end of this review. Other than those issues, the game is fine. Loading times aren't too bad between story cutscenes and are extremely fast between battles, which I appreciated as I had to do some minor grinding at times. Overall, I would say Caligula Effect was a very enjoyable experience for me. It is fair to say that the game stands on its own as a unique experience, even if it clearly took inspiration from the Persona series with various different things such as its bonding system and even its cringy bath scenes that you can find in most Persona games. It is right here in Caligula. I think this game had a ton of potential, but unfortunately failed to deliver on certain technical aspects, probably due to a low budget. The good news is, Caligula Effect 2 is on its way. Looking at the Japanese gameplay, it looks very solid. I even talked to someone who played the Japanese version on Switch, and it seems to be more beautiful and more stable than Overdose. I'll quote what he said here. It's a stable 30 frames per second, which is a very good sign for things to come. If you are interested in Caligula Effect 2, make sure to subscribe to my channel and ring the notification bell, as I am now part of press for NIS America, the publisher of this game, so I will most likely be able to review the game before it launches in the West later this year. I hope you enjoyed this third JRPG Gems episode on the channel. If you want to stay up to date on any type of JRPG that may not be that popular but that is still worth playing, such as Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Sakura Wars, and Caligula Effect, you're at the right place. Consider subscribing, ring the notification bell, and please drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Let me know down in the comment sections below if you played Caligula Effect, what are your thoughts? I see negative opinions, I see positive opinions. I want to hear you guys' thoughts. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.